Yo, what's up guys? You got PokeaimMD here with another competitive Pokemon Sun and Moon moveset video guide analysis, whatever you want to call it. This time we're going to be talking about Tapu Bulu. Now before we get into this moveset guide, I just want to say there's a playlist down below. I encourage you to go ahead and check that out if you missed any of my previous moveset videos. I'm covering every single Pokemon from Sun and Moon. We only have maybe 3 left of the fully evolved Pokemon that I'll be covering. So I definitely encourage you to go ahead and check that out. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Those links are down below. Great place to stay up to date with me. I'll be streaming as well. Probably by the time this video goes up, I would have started or will be the middle of streaming. So, Tapu Bulu, Grass and Fairy type. Awesome typing, which is shared with Pokemon like Whimsicott and Shiinotic. It grants an immunity to Dragon, which is already amazing in itself, but it has some really key resistances: Fighting, Ground, Water, Grass, Electric, Dark, all very common types in, well, I would say OU, which is where Tapu Bulu will be. It is weak to Flying, Poison, Steel, Fire, and Ice. And it has a really cool ability, Grassy Surge, which summons the grassy terrain. What grassy terrain does is every single Pokemon touching the ground, pretty much, that's not levitating, that's not flying, gets back 1/16 of their HP for 5 turns. Also, grass type attacks are boosted by 50%, regardless of if, basically by Pokemon that are on the ground. So Tapu Bulu, its grass type attacks are boosted by 50%. Regardless of if the Pokemon that it's targeting is in the air or not. And also moves like Earthquake. Well, Earthquake, Magnitude, and Bulldoze are the only 3 moves that are halved in grassy terrain. Their attack damage is halved in grassy terrain. Now, Tapu Bulu is a nuke. The first set we're going to be talking about is the Choice Band set. And with Grassy Surge, grassy terrain boosting grass type attacks, Wood Hammer is an absolute nuke. It's already 120 base power. And I'll show you a damage calc real quick of Wood Hammer to a Mega Metagross. Choice Band Wood Hammer to a Mega Metagross. It is an easy 2-hit KO, 56 to 66% to Metagross. And Metagross doesn't have bad defenses at all. It has 337 defense, and obviously it's a natural resist. So Wood Hammer is an absolute nuke. If I actually show you, not that it matters, but I'll show you the Abomasnow, the first set that we always see here. Boy gets O-code by Wood Hammer, resisted hit. Obviously this is Lonely Nature or Hasty Nature. If I could just make it naive, and it's still 95 to 112. So definitely don't sleep on Wood Hammer from Tapu Bulu. It is an absolute nuke. Horn Leech is your second attack. This is your recovery, basically, when you don't want to lose your HP by going for Wood Hammer, because obviously you're taking recoil. But Horn Leech is still boosted by not only your Choice Band, but also by the grassy terrain. Gives Tapu Bulu recovery, being able to recover 50% of the damage dealt. Superpower is your fighting type attack that allows you to damage Pokemon like Heatran or Steel types in general that would otherwise resist your Wood Hammer or Horn Leech. And then your last move is either Mega Horn or Zen Headbutt. Mega Horn allows you to hit Tangrowth for a 2-hit KO, as well as also knocking out Pokemon such as Celebi, whereas Zen Headbutt allows you to hit Amoonguss and Mega Venusaur for a 2-hit KO from a Choice Band Tapu Bulu. Of course, Venusaur being able to resist not only your grass, but also the fighting type but the fighting type attack coming out of you. So, unfortunately, Tapu Bulu wasn't gifted with Play Rough. I have no idea why they didn't give this guy a physical fairy type attack, but unfortunately, he was not given Play Rough. But Wood Hammer is a nuke. It doesn't matter if you resist, it hits ridiculously hard. Now, the EV spread is just maximum attack, Adamant Nature. You want to max out that attack, especially when you want to be this giant bomb with Wood Hammer, just dropping hammers on your opponent. And I give it max speed, but you can definitely customize it to what you want it to do. I just give it max speed. One speeds out other Adamant Bulu, being able to outspeed all defensive Landorus, all defensive Tapu Fini that are not running max speed. Pokemon like Loom or Adamant Loom and whatnot, Jolly Tyranitar. But you can definitely run like an EV spread that's more that caters to what you want it to do. So you can usually run maybe this much speed if you want to be able to outspeed Pokemon like defensive Landorus again, Rotom and whatnot, and then have some more extra bulk on Bulu. But the way I see it, especially with a Choice Band nuke, you want to be able to get off your attack. So why cut your speed and potentially not be able to attack because your opponent is faster than you? But that's the Choice Band set. It is a nuke. It hits incredibly hard. Doesn't really require much support. Next up, we have a Choice Scarf set. Now, Bulu actually functions as a very solid Choice Scarf user simply because it outspeeds Ash Greninja and it outspeeds Tapu Koko. So those are some pretty big speed tiers with a Choice Scarf, Tapu Bulu. It is amazing versus offense just because of the two Pokemon I just mentioned, which are very solid on offense, being able to outspeed them and knock them out with Horn Leech or Wood Hammer respectively. In Tapu Koko's case, you want Stealth Rock up to ensure a KO with Wood Hammer, but other than that, you're knocking them out. The moveset is Jolly this time because you need to be Jolly in nature to outspeed those aforementioned threats, which max speed, max attack. The rest can be just put into either defense or special defense. It doesn't really matter where it goes. It doesn't really make a difference. But the attack is, or the three attacks are Wood Hammer, Horn Leech, and Super Power. Those are staples on this set. Wood Hammer obviously being just your grass stab. Horn Leech obviously being your grass stab plus recovery. Super Power being able to hit steel types, but Stone Edge is the last move and the move that I actually prefer over Mega Horn, over Zen Headbutt, because Zard Y, Charizard Y, Mega Charizard Y is very, very common these days. It's rising up in popularity for good reason. It's a great mon, being able to deal with a lot of the Tapus as well. Nothing can really switch in common cores with Celesteela and things like that. So Stone Edge is very, very nice because you do outspeed Mega Charizard Y and you can knock it out with Stone Edge. This also allows you to hit Pokemon like Talonflame, which you may think, oh well, Talonflame isn't that good right now, which is, you know, it's tough to say because of the nuke to, or the nerf. I keep saying nuke, sorry. When I see Wood Hammer, when I see grassy terrain, it's just whoa. The nerf to Gale Wings obviously made Talonflame a little bit, well, a lot worse, but it still can set up on a lot of common Pokemon such as Celesteela, such as Scizor, and Supersonic Sky Strike is still ridiculous, and Talonflame does have high speeds regardless of not being able to have priority Brave Bird, so still great. I think it's still great mon. I think it's definitely one of those sleeper Pokemon, much like a Fable right now, that can still function in OU if they're working properly, or if you make them work. But I like Stone Edge a lot, being able to hit Zard Y, getting that OHKO. And next up we have Assault Vest. Now the Assault Vest set is pretty solid on Tapu Bulu because it allows it to get rid of or deal with all the other Tapus. It takes all the hits from Tapu Koko, it takes all the hits from Tapu Fini. Be careful though, Scald can be run on Tapu Fini and it's not bad. I don't like people saying Scald is bad on Tapu Fini because misty terrain means you can't burn. You can still burn mods in the air like Landorus, like Skarmory, like Celesteela, and Tapu Bulu is also pretty common switching, so you can still burn that, which gets up the grassy terrain. But the Assault Vest set is meant to switch in on the Tapus and still function as the, you know, just this nuke, right, with Wood Hammer and Horn Leech, but this can function more as a pivot. Now the EV spread is 252 HP, 92 SPDF with an Assault Vest. Assault Vest, if you guys didn't know, it boosts up your what's it called? It boosts up your SPDF by 1.5. I'm looking at it right here in front of me. But with an Assault Vest, basically you take less damage from special attacks. So with this EV spread, max HP, 92 SPDF, you are not 2 KO'd ever by Modest Choice Specs Tapu Lele after grassy terrain recovery. So you're never 2 KO'd by that thing. And Wood Hammer does knock it out 100% after rocks. I mean, Horn Leech does a ton to it anyway in grassy terrain, but Wood Hammer does knock it out 100%. Horn Leech does a ton. Superpower, again, you still want that to be able to deal with the steals like Heatran running around. And then Nature's Madness is your last move, which does half to your opponent regardless of what they are. It's a fairy type special attack that does half damage to your opponent. And it also, sorry about that, I don't know why I was flipping, but it also is a special move, so it's not canceled out by Nature's Madness. It's not like going for Leech Seed. It's a special attacking move, and it always does half to your opponent. So this is great for weakening Pokemon such as Skarmory, like Scizor, or at least just forcing them to roost, or just Pokemon that you normally couldn't touch. Maybe a Lottie comes in, you do 50% of that, and you trap it from there. But Nature's Madness is the preferred last move. You can go a bit of speed on this, but I really like this EV spread because not being 2 KO'd by Choice Specs Tapu Lele is pretty nice, considering that thing is a monster. Being able to get back your recovery with grassy terrain as well as Horn Leech as well. Great use of words right there. But basically, your Grass Stab is what you go with, and you're fighting. And then Nature's Madness is the newest move, just being able to do 50%, weakening Pokemon that just don't have recovery either, or just forcing something to recover. Like, you can get back so much more from a turn if a Scizor comes in and you go for Nature's Madness and it's forced to roost because it's at 50%. Now, Swords Dance is the next set that we have. It does have access to Swords Dance. Tapu Bulu has a bunch of support options. Swords Dance is one of the offensive options that it does have. Just turns it into a sweeper rather than a nuke or a Choice Scarf or something that could take hits. But the moveset is Swords Dance, Super Power, Horn Leech, and then the last move can either be Zen Headbutt, Mega Horn, or Wood Hammer. Super Power is ran on the SD set because it is your strongest fighting type stab. We actually pair it with a Fight EMZ, and with a Fight EMZ, you're doing 77 to 91% at +2 to fully physically defensive Skarmory. So Skarmory that's taking a bit of damage switches in on maybe your +2 Horn Leech, gets knocked out by All Out Pummeling. This also allows you to damage Celesteela, and just does a lot more. It just does a lot more damage to Pokemon like Skarmory. The last move is either Zen Headbutt, Mega Horn, or Wood Hammer. I prefer Zen Headbutt because, again, Venusaur is very, very popular. So at +2, you're at least damaging that. Whereas it can OHKO you, excuse me, with Sludge Bomb, which is obviously 4 times effective. It's just adamant, max attack, max speed. You can go Jolly Nature, but I typically just like the full-out power from Adamant on this. But Jolly Nature is definitely something you can run if you want to be able to outspeed Adamant Mamoswine or Pokemon like Adamant Dragonite and hit them with a +2 Horn Leech. If they're actually multi-scale is broken, it's going to be doing a lot at +2. But Life Orb is also an option on the Swords Dance set. You can run Leftovers. You can run Grass EMZ for Bloom Doom. Though I don't think going for that, even though it is ridiculously strong. Grass type attack, I don't think that's ever worth it when you have Horn Leech for just recovery. But this is more of an offensive set. Don't switch this thing in on Scalds. And yeah, this one, don't get Tapu Bulu burnt. Don't get that boy burnt. Next up we have Subseed. It does have Leech Seed and Substitute in its arsenal. With Horn Leech and Grassy Terrain giving it back recovery, it can function as a very solid Subseed user. Now, there's a few different spreads you can use with this, guys. You can use, I'm going to say I'm just going to talk about this spread, but there's definitely defensive spreads you can use. Maybe you want to be able to take on Pokemon such as Pheromosa better. Those are all options. In fact, just customize the EV spread to what you want it to do. This EV spread was just made to outspeed defensive Landorus, defensive Tapu Fini, Rotom. That way you can sub up on them. U-turn does not break the sub. HPIs does break the sub, but U-turn doesn't, which is important. You can sub, Leech Seed, gain back recovery, Protect up, on top of Grassy Surge, on top of, or your Grassy Terrain, on top of Leftovers, on top of Leech Seed recovery. You have Horn Leech for recovery as well. This can actually be used, if you get off a Leech Seed and behind a sub, it can actually be used to stall out Heatran. So let's say you're behind a sub and your opponent goes up to Heatran as you Leech Seed. You can Protect first turn, getting back recovery, and just sub-stall Heatran. And then Horn Leech is still max attack just because that allows you to KO Pokemon such as Clefable. Just with your max attack and still get off a lot of damage, and you get 50% of recovery back. So again, you can customize this. You can run Impish, you can run defensive, you can run special defensive even if you want to still be able to take on Tapu Lele, things like that. It really is up to you what you want, but I just wanted a spread that can outspeed defensive Landorus and hit hard. But again, it is up to you. You can run Impish and you can change around the spreads. But Subseed can actually be used to stall out Pokemon like Heatran, like Metagross. If you're again behind a sub and you go for Leech Seed as they switch in, you can stall them out with Leech Seed, Protect, Substitute, and getting that recovery back. So next up we have Bulk Up. Again, same EV spread, just being able to outspeed defensive Landorus. What I actually did was Bulk Up, of course, raises your attack and defense. So again, this can be used on more of an Impish spread or a Spreadef spread. It really is up to you. I haven't found one that I've liked more than just going max attack and this speed. But Leech Seed, Bulk Up, Leech Seed's recovery, Bulk Up, obviously getting that attack and defense. And then the last move, outside of Horn Leech, because Horn Leech is just your primary stab, the last move is either Brick Break to hit steel types like Heatran, or defensive Heatran, and Substitute. I actually like Substitute a lot on Bulk Up because it makes it really hard for your opponent to break that sub. After a Bulk Up or two, you can actually 1v1 Celesteela if you get a Leech Seed off of it. You can Bulk Up enough to where Heavy Slam isn't doing any damage. Flamethrower isn't going to be doing too much because it's not stab, and obviously you're getting back Leech Seed recovery. It can't Leech Seed you back. So you can definitely run a more defensive spread, like I said, but I just like the EVs to be able to outspeed defensive Landorus. The rest will just put in 2 HP and then max out attack. Now it does have a few other options. Taunt is a pretty cool option. This is stop Celesteela from protecting. This can stop Skarmory from roosting, from spiking, Toxic X from toxic spiking. All good options. Scizor from roosting if you want to play like that. Calm Mind, it actually has access to Calm Mind. It doesn't have a bad special move pool either. It has a special move pool that actually has a fairy type attack. So it has Dazzling Gleam, it gets Energy Ball, it gets Focus Blast, or Giga Drain even. So it doesn't have a bad special move pool. I just wouldn't really use it, but it is an option. I've seen it, I've faced it. Whirlwind can be used to phase out Pokemon like Skarmory, especially if you're like using like a bulk up Whirlwind set. I can see like a Swords Dance Whirlwind set being cool too, or bulk up Whirlwind, just something tries to phase you out. And then Mean Look is nice, though it is a bit gimmicky. You can trap your opponent and then just set up on them. Maybe, again, I mentioned Celesteela. Maybe it could be like Mean Look, bulk up, Horn Leech, Leech Seed, something like that. After a couple bulk ups, you are 1v1ing Celesteela, and it's stuck there. So, just some cool options it does have in the background. Grass MZ as well. All Out Pummeling, Fighting MZ, obviously, I already said that. And I guess Rock Slide if you don't want to miss Stone Edge, but I like the pure power of Stone Edge. But outside of that, you know, Tapu Bulu has so much stuff going for it. Take none of these EV spreads to heart. I think the only EV spread you actually need max speed and max attack on is Choice Scarf. CB can definitely function with just max attack, and the EV spread you can put wherever you want. Assault Vest, I really do love this EV spread a lot. I think not being 2-hit KO'd by Modest Choice Spec, Tapu Lele's Psychic is worth it, but really you can just play around with this EV spreads as much as you want. Tapu Bulu doesn't always need team support, but a few Pokemon that it does struggle with, Scizor, Celesteela, Skarmory, Magnezone is just a great partner for that. Latios can take on Mega Venusaur, which is another Pokemon that Tapu Bulu does struggle with. So Latios is a great partner, also providing defog support. Landers can get up rocks for it. If it's running the Fly EMZ, you can get rid of Venusaur, get rid of Amoonguss for it with Supersonic Sky Strike, as well as having HP Ice knock off even to better deal with Skarmory, Celesteela, HP Ice to better deal with opposing Landers, or even Salamence that do threaten the Tapu Bulu. Zygarde does not care at all. It sets up on Venusaur, which threatens Tapu Bulu. It can set up on Celesteela. It can set up on Skarmory, even though Skarmory obviously can phase it out, but Zygarde can set up on Celesteela, can set up on the Pokemon like Metagross if it's not running Ice Punch that threatens Tapu Bulu. Landers, of course, weakening that with Rocky Helmet and Intimidate. Skarmory can set up spikes on Metagross, can set up spikes on opposing Skarmory, can phase out your opponent. Pretty much what Tapu Bulu does not want to deal with, Skarmory can. And Magearna obviously provides Volt Switch from Momentum. If it has Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, it can weaken Skarmory, can weaken Celesteela just for Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu is a very good Tapu. I think all the Tapus are amazing in their own way. This guy can function really well as just a Choice Band nuke or even as a Choice Scarf user. Whereas obviously Tapu Fini excels at being defensive, defogging, or calm minding. Tapu Lele is an excellent Choice Scarf and a ridiculous Choice Specs user, and then Tapu Koko can really function well with a Life Orb in its high speed tier. But definitely don't sleep on any of the Tapus at all. They're all solid Pokemon, and Tapu Bulu is no exception. So, if any of that case, thank you everybody for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Of course, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, do your thing, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, friends.